This is Between Hook Sets. I'm Jason Walter from In Through the Outdoors with my partner in slime, Kurt Underhill from the Fishing Crew.
What is going on, dude?
You know what would have been really, really, really cool if all four of us would have set the hook at the same time.
One of us would have had a black eye.
Yeah, well, right. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out who's right-handed, who's left-handed there.
It wouldn't have been good.
I probably would have had a black eye.
Oops.
Maybe both.
Oops, yeah, not. Yeah, no, not so good. Not so good. I don't know. I'm moving. My walls look a little bare, but seriously, I almost think that I'm starting to like them a little bare. Yours looks good. I finally get to see the Between Hook Set sign from the outside looking in instead of right below it. And it's pretty cool. Now if you could just get Travis to get some teal and blue LED lighting in there, a little neon, it'd just be perfect right there above the bar.
We can figure that out. Baby steps here, man. First week the trailer's been in the yard to get stuff worked on it. So
yeah, no, we're pretty happy with the trailer, right? I mean, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool.
I felt almost I don't know what I felt really cool when Bob Crow came in after winning the National Walleye Tour, sat down to talk, and I thought, Bob, if you could come back a week from now, this thing's gonna look cool. Maybe it's gonna take 2 weeks to get it done, but nonetheless, still pretty cool trailer, especially from the outside looking in. When you're looking at that thing from the perspective of walleye fans, who are watching tournaments and stuff, it's a gorgeous trailer. I think it rivals the National Walleye Tour and the Masters Walleye Circuit trailer. I mean, I think theirs is a little bit bigger, but bigger isn't always better. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's got the setup. It's pretty cool. So Uncle Lou, that's what I was kind of waiting for, was Uncle Lou to say good evening. So we can pop this up and welcome our guests here. We have them in the studio. Usually we have them behind the scenes before we come in, but being two Pierre local boys, they decided to drive up tonight and make it a little easier and be in studio with us. So, Ryan Thompson, Matt Lyons are winners of Sharpe Showdown, but you guys have fished all our events for I don't even know how many years. Matt, we go back to 15, 20 years ago, Fishing Crew days, and you were pre that. So let's start with Matt. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background, how you got into fishing, where you're from? We'll slide the mic your way.
So I grew up in Rapid City, and I think we moved here in 85, 86. I graduated high school in 90. I mean, I was fishing. My dad was a guide for 30 some, maybe 40 years. So I was fishing, all the way through high school, and he kind of got me into it. Obviously he was a mentor of mine for sure. I did a couple years in Black Hills State. I didn't get a lot done out there, a lot of slow skiing. So I come back and I worked for the mitigation department at Game Fish and Parks for 10 years. DOT for 10 years. And I mean, I did some guiding up at Sunset back in probably late 90s. Probably started fishing the Governor's Cup, I would say 95. I think 03, maybe 06, we did a third place and handful of top 10s. I don't know. It's so hard to remember. I mean, the fishing nowadays compared to back then is 100% turnaround.
Yeah, you're kind of I would classify you as an old school river rat. You didn't grow up on the river, but that's probably where you spent a lot of your time growing up and learning. And I mean, I think river rat, you were one of the guys that's in that group because that's kind of your pitch and jigs. I mean, when there's a jig, pitch, and bite, Maddie's probably one of the top that there's going to be in that game.
Yeah. I mean, I love pitch and jigs. That's if it's a jig fishing tournament. Yeah, get ready. But I mean, You know, I mean, I had a flasher, I had a Vexlar on my boat for till mid 2000s. I mean, you know, so it's changed a lot for me, and it's definitely, I mean, these young guys coming up and getting into it are super tough. I mean, super tough to beat. I'm totally just excited that Ryan and I did so well, even in Chamberlain. I mean, you know, this year down there, we did a third place there and won the showdown, and it was all pitching. So yeah, pretty impressive.
Yeah, you guys are on a pretty good hot streak. Third in Chamberlain, W here, and you led day one, and you guys did pretty good in Chamberlain. I don't know what points break out, but you're going to be up there. You know, Deckers were sitting there pretty good, but it's going to be a tight race. Everybody thought Deckers would walk away at the points race, but you two are right there. But you know, you spent most of your time, you guided along the river. You know, fishing quality from all the years being on Lake Sharpe. What did you think the weekend, like overall, the week of this last week was?
You know, I mean, obviously the quality's down, but just look at the time of the year. You know, you got all these males up there, you know, squirting, you know, and the females are spawned out there in their funk. They're, you know, I mean, there's a handful of females that weren't spawned out, but yeah, it's just that time of year, and that's just what you kind of see.
Well, talking to the NWT guys, the water temp was up by the in-town area, was all over the board, 39, 44. It all kind of depended on the day and the time of day.
Yep. It definitely changed throughout the day. I mean, it seemed like it, you know, and it was different. It'd be 46, 47, and then the next day it was 44.
Yeah.
You know, so it was really weird.
You're taking a ton of water from a wahi, and that crap's cold up there 100 feet down, right? You know, so the 38, 39 degree water just surprised the daylights out of me until I realized, oh, wait a minute, you know, Sharpe goes up and down 3 feet every day, so they're just taking on so much water from a wahi that it can't help but be cold, and that's why that some of that pre-spawn stuff just surprised me. You know, crows 9 and 7 pound. I was like, what? It really did surprise me.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, a lot of that probably would be my guess has to do with they're pumping a lot out of Hawaii, but they're also pumping it out down below too. So it's more of a, I mean, you got the, you know, the blow and the sucking it too.
Yeah, right. The blow and the suck. Yeah, both. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Well, suck and blow, you know? But so the current's huge, right?
Right. Yeah. And that's a whole different kind of for guys that aren't used to current, you know, fishing real river current.
Yep.
It's a bit of a trick.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah, and this body of water,
the current breaks change too. Like depends on how much they were sucking during the day. The current break might change 10 foot. Like I noticed, you know, where we caught most of our fish. Like before they started running water, the fish were kind of pulled out, and then once they started pushing water, they sucked them right back into where we couldn't get to them. So, I mean, there was certain times that you could get them and certain times you couldn't.
and I'd say Lake Sharpe is probably the truest flowing river current that we see on our whole system. You know, you got some current in Chamberlain. You definitely got some current.
First 15 miles.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. I mean, that first stretch is, I mean, even ice fishing Joe Creek, you'll be down there and also you'll know when the current comes on because your line's all over there. The old Vexlar days and flasher days, we'd have to go put our Vexlar way over there to be able to see our jig on the bottom. I mean, and it would change. You know, you'd know when that current would hit and stuff like that. And, you know, even the one day of, I think, day 2 of NWT, the water was super low at takeoff.
Oh, yeah.
Like we noticed a big difference in water level from day 1 to day 2, you know, and then by the end of the day, water was up to higher than it was on day 1, you know, so that's a river system, but you get to pitch and jigs on the system, Maddie. That's kind of your game. Vertical jigging on the lake. I mean, that's kind of what you've been known to do, creek chubbing, vertical jigging. That's kind of that's your wheelhouse.
Yeah, I was for sure more of a live bait guy. I mean, and I'm trying it all. I'm not one of these years. Hopefully this year's my year. We'll see.
So Ryan,
you're on a roll.
So Ryan, you got a little different story. Tell us your background about you, and you know you didn't grow up here, so it's kind of tell us all about you.
So I originated grew up in Kansas, grew up on Wakanda Lake or Glen Elder Reservoir, in north central Kansas there. And my parents loved to fish. So and it's one of the better walleye lakes in Kansas. So just grew up loving to fish. And then in 2009, I moved up here and just moved to the promised land. In my opinion, you can boat fish 12 months out of the year and awesome hunting. And just if you're a sportsman, there's not a better place to live.
Yeah, I joke with people all the time. They're like, "Well, do you got deer hunting?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Other than like moose or bear, like what do you want to kill? Like we can drive an hour and shoot something, or catch something. We kind of do live in God's country for a sportsman. Truly is. Even the NWT guys were like, "This is epic because you can see everything here and you can do everything right within 20 minutes of your place."
Like when the Elite Series were here, those guys absolutely.
Yeah.
We got one of the best smallmouth fisheries in the United States, and sure one of the best walleye fisheries. So, we're more than lucky.
We kind of have two because Sharpe is an untouched smallmouth fishery. Like nobody talks about Sharpe being a smallmouth fishery, and there's good smallmouth in there.
Unbelievable.
I'm beginning to learn that maybe Sharpe is a destination for anglers. Everybody runs to Francis Case from the eastern half of the state because it's so quick and simple, right? But for what Sharpe has to offer, especially post spawn, you get into that springtime fishing, and you get to fish that real river bite, and to me, there's nothing better than that. Tom Goodmestead came from Idaho, and he plopped down first practice day, caught a 28 incher, and he's like, okay, we're on. But the weather, everything just made it really tough this weekend, right? Somebody had to win, and you had the right combination, you did the right thing, had the right program that worked. But Sharpe, you can catch the big fish, and you can box a bunch of fish to take home. So to me, it just seems like there should be more people chasing Sharpe than other lakes if you're looking to take home eaters.
Sharpe is an eater factor. You can catch them every day of the year round on Lake Sharpe. Ice fishing, boat fishing, it doesn't matter. That place produces eaters all year.
Here in the next 10 days, when they move up at West Bend on the flats, be 100 fish days easy.
You talk to guys that Chamberlain. The guys won Chamberlain. They're like, we had 6 bites. We had 6 bites all day. That was all we had. You didn't hear that from guys here. Like, we're going through hundreds of fish to get to the ones we want.
Yeah, absolutely. The problem when the males are set up, they're snapping before the big females get a chance to snap.
Yeah,
right.
So, go ahead.
So the thing with Sharpe, and I just lost my train of thought. So I guess Kurt, go ahead, because it just.
So was it? We all thought after Lake Erie last year when John Hoyer won it that the whole industry changed. It has to be live scope. Did live scope play much into your guys' bite over the weekend, or was it? Because you talked to all these big guys. Tom Wynn's like, I spot locked for the first time in my life. Like. Was live scope a big factor for you guys, or was it just a jig fish bite?
It played for sure. So I have one in the back of my boat. It's on automatic. It's called a Forsyth. It's on automatic.
I kind of noticed that. I noticed you must have just rigged that up
for the back of the boat. And for sure, it just gave us confidence. Like, side scan was king all week.
Yep.
It's just amazing what you can see with this stuff anymore with side scan. But when you're fishing, I would have it be scanned out and be like saying, hey, there's a little cod over there, or it just gave you confidence to. I can't say that I'd sit there and watch them eat it, or but it just, we were using it to gain confidence. Yep, they're in there.
Yeah, we're not casting dead water. We know there's fish.
And even a lot of times, the better that we get, or Ryan gets, both of us, you can almost tell that, hey, that's not a walleye. So, it just gave us, we used it. Just gave us a lot more confidence of our casts and everything.
But it wasn't like the deciding factor to win the tournament wasn't live scope.
It was side scan. Yeah, we did. I can honestly say, you know, I fish the NWT as well. I did not stop and fish a place that I did not get
Yeah.
on side ski.
Yeah, I mean that's what, you know, and like it's going back to my statement is we thought when Hoyer won Lake Erie 4-footers on the bow of his boat that nothing will be won without live scope again. And this lake just kind of proved that it can be.
Well, yeah, when you see all the live scopers vertical jigging just drifting down the center of the river.
Or pulling cranks with no kicker motor on their boat. You know, like I mean,
yeah, exactly. So
when you're watching them in practice pulling cranks with trolling motors trying to figure stuff out, I knew it was going to be a tough bite, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And I'd a lot rather fish a tough bite than I'd not rather fish a tournament with a tough bite where everybody can go out and sign. So
anybody can win when you've got a big bite, right? If they're just suicidal, anybody can win the tournament. But on that tough bite, you know, like you guys proved that you could get it done because you had knowledge and the know-how to just plain go out and get it done. And I think as we got into the weekend, I talked to a few folks that were outside, you know, just watching, and like, oh, this is going to suck because they're not going to catch much, you know, what, 10, 15 pounds. Like, you know what? I don't care if 5 pounds wins the entire tournament. If it's 5 pounds, fishing was damn tough, and whoever caught the 5 pounds to win it knew what the hell they were doing and got it done. So I don't care if it's a 60-pound bag or a 19-pound bag. Fishing's fishing, right? And you still have to make them bite. You gotta make them bite. You gotta catch them.
Yep, no question.
100%. And you get, you know, you look at it. I mean, it was separated by ounces. I mean, decimals, you know, hundreds of ounces to separate. You know, I talked to one guy that, you know, he's like, well, I was in this place, but 0.6 of a pound would have put me in third place. You know, I mean, like that's how tight it was, even the NWT. So Ryan, you fished the NWT, you had a week of practice. Let's talk about that a little bit. What was your, you know, I talked to Matty on Friday and he said he was pre-fishing off the shore with binoculars to make sure you were set up on the right spot.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much camped out for 4 days of tournaments in about a 200-yard stretch. I found them on Monday or Tuesday, caught some nice fish, and so I mean, it was within 200 yards was Bobby Crow. I had a 987, and this pot of big fish would just kind of, I mean, you could catch them within about a quarter mile right in there during the week. And I just was convinced that I'd 200 yards. The pod was on him. So,
yeah.
But I mean, I just love tournament fishing, love the challenge. And I mean, fishing, being able to compete with, you know, I was 2 out of the money. I think they paid 23. I was 25th.
Yeah. 180 said he was bubble boy. So, but Brian, nobody has ever underestimated Matty Lyon's skills. I can tell you that. But yeah, I mean, so you kind of found that in practice, and then did you have a lot of traffic with you?
No,
I mean,
so I mean, and it's kind of a somewhat known spot a little bit, but it's horrible to fish. It's full of trash and trees but I just figured when I got there first morning that somebody else found it. I kind of had about a 200-yard stretch to myself. So, which doesn't happen very often, especially on this, but or maybe nobody else wanted to lose a bunch of jigs. But there was good quality fish in there.
So is it a jig and a minnow bite, jig and plastic?
So I think that was my problem in the NWT. I did not fish plastic enough in practice. The jig and minnow was better, and I think it kind of transitioned to the plastic, or plastic will generally generate bigger bites. And I did in the NWT, I didn't pitch plastic enough. We in Showdown, one of us or both of us had plastic on at all times.
So you guys just basically, like, we drove across the causeway Thursday morning and everybody heard where the league was won. So there was like 8 boats stacked behind the causeway because league on Wednesday night was won there. And we pull up and they're all in there just pitching. But one guy, it looked like he had a slip bobber out the side of his boat for his co. Were you guys just one rod in a hand, or did you guys have dead rods out with you?
We had one dead rod hanging out the back, but mainly just pitching.
And
I think we caught one fish on a dead rod.
You know, Yeah, and I didn't catch any in the NWT, and I had 2 out. Just went
different weather pattern. You know, I little different. But so how about the paddle tails or fluke or you know, what were you using?
Was ours? I pitched a paddle tail some, but I mean, most of our fish come on a 4-inch fluke.
Okay.
Yep.
And Bobby Crow said he was trying to do pearl whites and stuff like that. Pretty much the same pattern you were.
Yep, same pattern.
You know, and you see, did you catch any sturgeon? I mean,
No.
I know Mike Zell and Hunter Nitty caught 3 on day 1. Josh Spies caught 1. He sent me the picture. He said he's going to do a painting for Maddie of the sturgeon he caught. I didn't know they were in our. I knew they were here, but I'd never heard of anybody catching one before. And 4 on they were caught.
Gatlin caught one last year. He didn't know what it was.
We got a salmon on Saturday.
Yeah.
Was it Sunday? Sunday.
Really?
2-pounder.
About a 2-pound salmon.
Another guy in the tournament got a salmon. I got a message. Can I keep this?
Yeah. Perfect eater.
So, I mean, just you go out there. So get into how, like, when you're going out, I mean, if you had 4 days of tournament fishing, I mean,
That was
plenty, right? But how do you build up for knowing my spot's going to hold for 4 days? Is that a guess? Like, go through your practice, what you were thinking when you're hometown water and you've traveled to Pigstown. You ended up, top 10 in Pigstown a couple years, 6 couple years ago. You were leading day 1, correct? Or second?
Tied for second.
Yeah. So how do you break down a body of water for people watching? Like when you're getting somewhere, granted you're in your hometown, but that can be devastating because you fish memories, you fish spots, you know.
Yeah, I'd never fished where we pretty much put it together, this deal. But I mean, you just get behind your electronics and just go. I mean, you just got to have, you don't have confidence in your electronics.
It's definitely not like the good old days where you pull up to a bank and just start casting.
Yeah.
I mean, you're driving until you see them.
Yeah. If I don't see them, I ain't stopping.
So one guy was telling me that he wasn't seeing him on his live scope, but he was catching him. You know, one of the NWT guys told me, he goes, we didn't see him. We were catching.
So there was a few times I told you that I was like, I didn't see him on side scan. I couldn't see him on side scan, but I could see him.
Yeah. But he said, I couldn't even see him on live scope and then I'd catch him. But I'm guessing that's because they were trying to scope in the water and stay in the current, you know.
Well, and the cones, and when you're in shallow water, the cones are so small that, I mean, that fish could snap in there quick, you know.
Yeah.
There's some different things on the system too. There's like big waves of sand under there, you know. So I mean, it's just like rolling sand waves down.
Oh, no kidding.
And then fish can tuck right in underneath there, so you probably won't see them. But you get your jig float across them, and
they come up for it.
They come up.
Yep.
It was kind of crazy. We were releasing fish, you know, down there, and I released some fish early in the day, and 3 of them, they had a 7-bag fish or bag of fish, and they swam out, and a couple of them, one swam back up in and buried itself under a rock, like completely. And I'm like, oh crap, we got to get that thing out of there so it makes it.
That's where you wanted to go.
5 minutes later, Zach got there with chest waders on. He said, there's a fish right there. And it wasn't there. But it literally, I mean, I could see it when I was watching it. It was all I could see was the tail flickering under the rocks. And I'm like, I couldn't believe how far that fish got into that area. So, I mean, it literally swam out, turned around, came right back in there.
Yeah.
Just crazy. I'm like, wow, these things can tuck under almost anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So
he sensed warmer water right there and it went right back, I would guess.
Yeah. So fishing trees, pitching jigs, you know, did you have backup spots or was this with live or die?
No, that was just lots of backup spots, but not very many spots that held quality fish. There was about a 1/4 mile of river there that was holding. But I caught a 7.5, a 5, and 2 4s practice, and they were all within that stretch.
So was it reloading every day for you, do you think, or were they just there?
You could pull in there and they're like, oop, they are.
Back. So were you using tungsten jigs?
Unfortunately.
Lost a lot of really expensive. Yeah, that's tough there.
point for divers.
Yeah,
They're so damn expensive.
they are, but I mean, when they say, I mean, they're just more sensitive. I mean, once you start using them, it's hard to not use them.
Where you run the Northland, the pill-shaped tungsten.
Yep. Black, and then the Queens.
Oh, the
Okay.
J Queen.
No, the Queen LS is Plains.
Okay.
LS Queens.
So I did a little experiment with jigs because I was listening to Tom Wynn talk about how Northland makes their jigs, where they use metal to create the color and all. And I started fiddling around because I wanted to know, is that tungsten jig a little more sensitive than a lead jig? And so I started fiddling around, and what I noticed is that matte finish on the Northland tungsten jigs is paramount, because I would run. I had 6-pound mono tied on. I didn't deal with fire line or any braided line, but I thought, well, I'm going to go with 6-pound braid, and I drug that across the rocks, and that matte finish scraping across the rocks sent a vibration through the rod, and the lead with the shiny paint did not. I'm like, wow,
Yeah,
that's cool.
yeah. I mean, it's definitely, you can feel. I mean, when I run braid with floral leader, but that, I mean, that obviously helps some people too, but tungsten's just way better, and then like in the morning when the flow was down, we'd be at a quarter, and then we'd have to go up to a 3/8, because that's one thing that I learned with live scope. Sometimes you think you're jigging, and all of a sudden you see your jig coming, it's freaking 4 foot off the bottom.
Sure. Yeah, right.
So that's one of the benefits of live scope. It's not just looking at fish. It's bait placement.
Well, we're learning a lot about these fish too, shifting off and suspending and doing all the different things that, we've been told, but we always thought they suspended and then dropped down. We didn't think they hung there as long as they did. And
they'll come up a long ways.
Yeah. Yeah. So you go out there, day one, you brought a 5-pounder to scale.
Yep.
And
it was a spawned out female.
Yeah, it was kind of a rail, I mean, so 6-7 pounder normally, gorgeous. I mean, spawned out female, but you told me after day one, I said, congratulations. She said, I wish I wasn't in this spot.
I know, yeah.
Wish you didn't have the target on your back. But how was your confidence level going into Sunday with knowing what you weighed, almost 11, I mean, 1/100 of an ounce shy of 11 pounds?
I mean, I'd have bet $500 we'd have had another over second day. I mean, I lost 2 other overs the first day, and one of them was a real big one. Yeah. So
the next cast after the 5-pounder.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
Then we went back in there later, and
we landed the 5.
got my next cast.
Get it tagged. Next cast.
Oh,
There's a big one.
But I mean, I would have bet $500 we'd had another over. I just couldn't believe it. But they
Just the way things were going.
I mean, it looked like they were in there too. I mean, it looked like we were seeing some good ones in there. They just weren't. They were just
the good ones weren't. We caught 2 really good slots out of there. Thank God, we caught 2 110s out of there Sunday morning. And then it just kind of fizzled.
We had you guys on live and watching you on live, and you were like 1.8, 1.8, 1.8 was kind of your number that you weren't even looking at fish under 1.8.
1.5 was kind of. I mean, all week long, if you weighed all the fish, that was one of the reasons why, like for the NWT, I stayed up north, because an 18.5-inch fish at West Bend weighed less than a 16-incher up here.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, it made, and just chances are you were going to have a way better chance to catch a pre-spawner up here.
Yeah, because the water temp was quite a bit different.
Yeah,
from down there. Yeah.
That was warming, and this was staying cool to cooler. But
see, you guys were live both days for us, and I think day 2, Brian or Chasen had Justin and Drew in the studio, and I heard at one point I was kind of watching. And you're like, it's not going to help. It's not a 1/2 pound upgrade. Like you guys knew your knew your limit, knew what you were going to do.
Yeah.
And Chamberlain, you came to me and you have that new Bubba scale, and you said you're damn near dead on what my scale reads.
It just didn't show the tenths.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like 13.6. You were like 13.6.
Yeah.
Yeah, those Bubba scales are awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're priceless, especially in a tournament like this.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like Sunday at what, 11:30, 11:45, we didn't have 5 fish in it.
Yeah.
We're kind of crapping and scrambling around, and I catch a 15-inch song.
1.0.
1.00. We can't waste a tag on this, but we knew we had to have 5, right?
Yeah.
If we didn't have 5,
it was over.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it didn't
matter.
It didn't matter, but we went ahead and tagged it. 2 casts later, we catch a 1.6. Cool. Of course, you got to tag that one.
Yeah.
Because that's
right.
So then we just had 1 tag left. So
you guys, like, you didn't really leave that area. You stayed in that stretch.
we had about a mile stretch there that we would, but I mean, spent 80% of our time at 200 yards.
But you were fishing though. That's the other thing, right? You spent your time fishing. You weren't running 30 miles. You weren't running 60 miles. You weren't spending hours in a boat running up and down. You were sitting there fishing.
You burnt 6 gallons of fuel.
Yeah, right. There you go. It doesn't happen that often anymore.
To Styles Brown, that he ended up, I don't know, top 10 and 7th, I think, in the National Walleye Trail. And he goes, I didn't fill the boat up last night because I'm not. He goes, I know my fish were there, and he said in one spot, he goes, I didn't fill the boat up. I talked to several guys said I didn't fill the boat up.
It was nice.
I didn't have to make a big run, and there were guys that made a big run. I mean, I went down to the Isaac Walton League and watched some guys take off. Matty was down there Saturday, and it was almost 50-50 that churned up and went down, for the NWT. And what a cool spot to watch takeoff. That was probably the coolest thing.
Yeah. Oh, that camera guy was just amazed. Yeah. Like, geez, this is incredible.
Robert told me Thursday morning he took 4,000 photos in that one spot.
Yeah, he did a nice job.
So, I mean, that was a cool spot, but what a great weekend. You guys, I mean, you barely out of the money on NWT. You win Sharpe, back it up, you go to Chamberlain and you get 3rd place. You got to have some good confidence going into the rest of the year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, when we won't fish the cup together. He always fishes with Greg.
Yeah.
I fish with Scott Larson. So, but yeah, no, me and him, we fish good together in the boat, think a lot alike, seem to make the same decisions or want to make the same decisions. And that helps a lot. There ain't a lot of
headbutting in there.
There ain't a lot of headbutting.
Right.
I tell everybody, like, half the battle in the partner tournament is meshing with your partner.
Yeah.
If you can't mesh before you get in that boat, it's over. Like, you might as well not even go out there.
Yeah, if you got 2 guys that think alike that are good anglers, it definitely helps 100%. I mean, I've followed these little trails around in South Dakota for 30 years. I mean, without, the fishing crew and all this, what would we do? You know what I mean? So I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for some odd reason. We really enjoy doing them. And
right on.
I mean, it's just fun. And, my favorite is, Ryan, your little boy Gatlin is, I told Ryan earlier today, one of these days, he's going to tell you, Matty, sit down. I'm in the boat.
No question. No, that'll be just fine.
When you fished the fall brawl last year, you come walk around the corner all bowled up. And he goes, Kurt, I'm fishing the Governor's Cup. And I go, you are next year? He goes, no, tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
But I mean,
he's a dandy. What did he tell you the other day that the kids should get kids crank rods?
He told me I should, at the kids tournament, I should give away stubbies. Kids stubby cranking rods.
He's a heck of a boat handler, I tell you.
I mean, I've never seen. How old is he now?
6.
6.
Almost 7.
Almost 7. Last year they pull out of the body of water. And we're standing there BS, and he hooks the boat up. He's got the back straps on. He's got the plug out. He's trimming. He's putting the transom saver on. I mean, 5, 6 years old, and you got him trained on everything he needs to do.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, I mean, and like last year for the Cup, I mean, he pretty much pre-fished all day, every day with me. You know, that way, I mean, as long as you got plenty of snacks and drinks, I'm ready to get off.
Speaking of snacks, get him these.
No peanut butter and bologna. No.
He might eat them.
Gatlin would eat them. But
Sure you would.
During the summer you fish, but let's talk a little bit about what you do in the fall. You got Prairie Outfitters. Let's talk a little bit about that and what Prairie Outfitters is and what you do there.
Yeah, there you go. So I run prairie chicken and prairie grouse hunts virtually in September for a couple weeks there. Good buddy of mine comes up from Kansas, brings a big string of pointers, and I got a bunch of bird dogs, and we do guided prairie grouse hunts. And then I move into pheasant for 2 or 3 weeks, and then I do a bunch of deer hunts. So I do a couple archery hunts the first couple weeks of September, and then usually 1 or 2 archery hunts right around the end of October, and then move in the rifle deer season where we do 10 or 12 guys. So, no, it's like I said, there's no better place to live than Pierre, South Dakota.
Yeah, I mean, when you can grouse hunt, pheasant hunt, deer hunt, catch big walleyes. I mean, we have
smallmouth,
salmon, northern. I mean, yeah, I mean, the Pike Masters, Matt, you fished Pike Masters probably since the inception, other than Chamberlain overlapping with back in the day.
You forgot, you got third in the Pike.
I forgot that. I wasn't here. I was in Minneapolis at a great concert.
Yeah, we got third in there. We were 2 fish shy of our weigh fish too. So we had nice fish, 50-some pounds, third place. We were excited.
You're 2 fish short, and you weighed 50 pounds. So. Yeah, I weigh in 8 fish there, so 6 fish for 50 pounds. A little 9-pound average. You can't complain about that at all.
No, it was good.
So you got a heck of a year going. A third, and a first.
I know it. We just got to keep it going.
Keep it going. Yeah.
One of us just needs to win the Cup.
Yeah, I say. I mean,
like, I don't know how many people I've told. Like, of course, I'd love to win the NWT, but I'd just soon win the Governor's Cup as the NWT. There is not a place where there is tougher anglers on body of water than one of those.
No, I mean, we have some big name national touring pros that fish it. And the one, I don't know if he's cracked the top 10 yet. Yeah. One of them hasn't cracked the top 10 yet. I mean, because you have truly, when I first took it over and I would talk to a lot of these touring guys at different shows, and they're like, we're not going to come fish that and get beat by a guy in a pontoon. Yeah. Because that is very possible on that event, or an old guy in an aluminum boat, they're like, and now they're starting to go, wow, we got to get there to fish against the best of the competition, because that one is tough.
It gets tougher every year.
Yeah, and now we're transitioning to technology and we're learning that stuff. But in 51 years of it this next year, you got McCumsey with 5, Tyson with 4, and Dewey with 4. If you look at it, there's probably over half the years were won by the same group of people. So in 50 years of tournament fishing, that tournament's been won by the same group of people. It's not because they're slouches; it's because they're good, and they work hard at it. Yeah. And they're beatable on any given day, but it's a tough tournament to win. And I tell everybody, like, you can get the top 20. The top. If you look at the results over the years, 10 through 11 through 20th changes all the time. That top 10 is very, very hard to crack.
It is for sure.
Well, so, and look at the younger anglers like Tom Wynn, right? Okay, maybe he's not younger age-wise, but he's got 5 years of experience, and he's excellent at it. So you got a lot of people who are young or new to the industry that have figured it out quicker than any. And it's like radio for me. I've been in radio forever, but somebody can get into radio that's never been into it, and in 6 months they sound like they've been in it for 5 years. So you're battling those newbies that are really starting to figure it out a lot quicker because of the electronics than some guys that have been doing it, like Matt, for 30 years, right?
I mean, Matt, you've been going at 30, and Ryan, you've been at it a long time too, but really up here. But I mean, you've watched the transition from a flasher, to all the different things we went through, and the technology today is just like,
that's crazy.
I mean, when you started fishing, even when I started fishing, there was no way I would say we ever could do this.
Yeah, I didn't think we'd be looking forward 100 feet.
Yeah.
No.
Fish.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just it. And they're like, oh, we got something next. And you're like, yeah, what can be better? I mean, I remember when the Lowrance color came out, and we thought we were in seventh heaven. When GPS maps came out, holy cow, we don't get to line stuff up.
Yeah, the LMS 350, the map on that was just a blank screen, but all your marks were just on the shore. You could see the contour of the shore.
And so, I mean, you give it another 5-10 years, it's going to be like,
who knows? It'll be like a little W above it.
You'll see.
I think it's going to be picture. The algorithm is going to start putting a walleye and a bass, and a catfish. They're going to get to that point. But Ryan, I'm glad you were talking about side scan, side imaging. I still think out of all the technology, the number one for me is still side scan or side imaging for everything that you can see.
River for me, definitely. Yeah. I mean, if I had to give up one forward facing or side imaging, I'd give up the forward facing.
So let's back it up a couple years ago when you were down in Pigstown and you had your good finish there. Was live scope the factor, or was it more side imaging?
It was. I caught all my fish cranking.
Okay,
but definitely, I mean, Maddie was down there pre-fishing with me, and we found those fish on a Tuesday night, Wednesday, black tom, and they wouldn't bite. And we're going to come back. There's some good fish in here. You could just tell and come back, and we made like a quarter mile pass and caught 3 overs, which is kind of like here. Yeah. We're like, well, this is where I'm fishing the NWT. And so, I mean, I was probably one of the very few in the top 5 that wasn't living on their
live scope. Yeah,
live scope.
So, but I mean, you kind of were before live scope. That was kind of your game, was cranking.
I love it. I mean, if I had one way to catch fish, and typically you'll catch bigger fish. I mean, you look at all the history of tournaments. If there was 7 out of the top 10 are cranking probably.
Oh yeah.
I mean, so.
Yeah, I mean, the scope is the new cranking. I mean, I remember when the cranking really got big, and you'd watch the guys that would dominate tournaments, and they were just dialed in on their crank patterns and doing stuff like that. Now I think it's going to transition back to your fish are reacting different now to live scope, and they're getting
spooky. They're shutting down. You go into a school of 30 and catch 2, and then all of a sudden they go jaw and just go. I don't know if it's a scope or if it's just pulling a couple fish out of school shuts them down, but you might as well move on because they're not going to bite. You might be able to come back in a couple hours, but they're not going to bite for a while.
See, and that's what I heard guys that were practicing for the NWT said. You'd pull up in a school of 30 fish, you catch 2, you better get out of it.
Yeah.
But that was direct opposite for what you guys were experiencing on your bite.
I mean, we had to grind them out. Sure. But they stayed there, and
they slid up and down and out and in, and
like I said, I mean, I might be 200 yards an hour later away than I come back. I just kind of kept making a circle, leading alone for a little bit.
Yeah, let them reload and let them relax. So you kind of were moving off after you'd catch a couple, they wouldn't bite. Sure. You'd move off and then come back into them. So very similar bite for most guys. But I was talking to guys that are like, yeah, well, if we catch 2 out of there, we better get out of here because they're not going to come back. And, I talked to Styles. He spot locked and never moved. Tom Wynn spot locked and never moved. Yeah. They waited for fish to load to them.
Well, and I mean, the fish are moving up to spawn or headed to the dam, and I mean, in some of those key spots with the right current seam or current break, I mean, there's going to be fish coming through there all day long.
So I know we're early, we're end of April, but what's kind of the prediction for Gov Cup? What are you thinking? What do you think? You think it's going to be a big bag? You think it's going to be, 20 pounds a day? Do you think, I mean, we're way early, right? But we looked at how great the lake was last fall, how great the lake has been, and the bait's there. I mean, we got bait like crazy.
I mean, I think you'll need 20 a day to have a chance to win it. I think.
Or more, because I think the overs are a little less plentiful, the big jumbos, but the unders are way better. So, I mean, you're going to add another 4 pounds to your unders, possibly. So.
And speaking of unders, I was super impressed with Chamberlain's unders.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe how fat those 19s, what was going on there.
They got an awesome year class of 19 to 21 inch fish.
I mean, 3 pound 19s. I had one that almost pushed 4 pounds for 19 inches. I'm like, that thing was as wide as it was long. And I'm like, holy cow. So, I mean, from that fishery last year, everybody up in arms that it was terrible to, wow.
Well, I told you didn't believe me when I told you down there when I said it's going to take 15 pounds to.
Well, I didn't, but I did, because when I made the bet, I said 15 pounds a day. And what do we weigh? 30, 32.
Yeah.
So I've been pretty accurate on my guesses this year for what it's going to take for weight in an event. And
I don't know. Cup's going to be big weights, I think.
Yeah. I mean, we had a light winter. We had some ice. We got a cold snap, but it came off early. Do you think that played into Sharpe the way it was how soon that ice came off that whole body of water?
I would call it more of a normal year, wouldn't you? Than last year was maybe a hair late. I don't know.
I mean, we had ice late, I think is what
made it felt short.
Yeah.
And the spawn's always late by the dam because of the cold water.
Yeah, we're pumping out of Lake Oahe to dump it in there. So
I mean, because the water temp, the Chamberlain where we were fishing was 52 degrees.
Yeah,
versus 41 degrees.
Well, I mean, you jump in that body of water in the middle of summer and it's cold.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, Sharpe is always cold.
Yep.
So
because I think Oahe is the only one that pulls water from the bottom versus the other reservoirs.
They all come over the top. This one comes. Well, Francis Case pulls from the bottom as well. Yep. Both ends of Sharpe pull from the bottom, but the rest of them come over the top, and that's how they generate. And so, I mean, guys, congratulations on the victory. Congratulations on the third place, Matt. Third place, and I mean, what a year! I mean, you're gonna have to build a McCumsey room.
No. Go to catch Matt. Yeah, but no, we're just lucky that you guys put on these tournaments for us. I love the competition, and I mean, because fishing is the biggest. Like I tell people, you look at fishing tournaments, it's the biggest losing sport there is. I mean,
I think racing
don't win
worse.
very many.
I think racing's worse.
Well, yeah.
Coming from an old race car driver, you are.
I think racing's worse.
Put all that money in the race car, pay $100 pit pass, and if you win, you win $107.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
You got to beg somebody for fuel money to get home. So,
well, there is good money in it, right? If you can win the tournament, there's damn good money in it.
Awesome weekend.
I mean, you
made great money down at Cedar Shores. It's just like I said, we're lucky to be able to be a part of it.
I mean, you think about that. You had $450 in entry fee. You had $220 into your side pot with big fish, and you went home with what, $9,200, $9,240, I think, if I remember right.
Something like that. Yeah.
So
it's real money.
You bet.
Yes, it is.
Well,
I used to race too.
Yeah,
here's another thing too. You talk about how lucky you are. You go out and you get to fish these tournaments, and then you win them. But then you're on TV, national, worldwide TV, prime time, 7:00 between hook sets live. I mean,
yes.
better.
It doesn't happen that often, you know.
The most award winning. We got the most participation awards. We got the most Look at all these participation awards on his back shelf. They might be a 4th grade wrestling trophy, but we got them.
Yeah, right. We do. Oh yeah. Well, what the heck? Well, it's been fun. Thank you very much. Appreciate you taking some time to drive north a little bit and sit with us in the Between Hookset studio.
You guys do a nice job, and
Yeah, thanks for having us.
it was fun to do live. Like on the first day, I was like, man, we gotta be cranking by the time it pulls up.
Yeah, you guys threw me for a loop because I watched day 1, you're pulling cranks, and then day 2, I mean, Maddie was bent over like this the whole time.
Well, in the NWT, that stretch where I caught a wayfish on that pulling cranks each day, but we already had our wayfish on day 1.
Awesome.
So,
Yeah, you had me thrown because on day 2, I'm like, what are
they doing?
the bite must have shut off. They're really scrambling right now. Well, thank you guys for joining us. It was great to have you. Congratulations on the season so far, and definitely on the win.
well,
Yeah,
hopefully, after the cup, one of us will be able to do it.
Hope so.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the divide in the team. Like,
It's all right as long as one of us.
yeah,
As long as one of us wins it.
there might be a little party after that one.
Hope so.
Yeah.
All right, fellas. Thank you much, and congratulations to you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, to everybody else, thanks for watching.